that's all there. But joining us now, Roger Stone, a former head of the Trump campaign back in 2000 and in 2015, 2016. You now got some intel from El Presidente. I don't know how far you want to go, but some interesting things on the radar screen. Then we'll come back in the next segment and get into Russiagate, now completely flipped back on the Democrats. So this is just quite a turn of events. So, Roger, front and center, what's happening right now?
Well, Alex, yesterday I had the opportunity to make the case directly to the President of the United States by phone as to why I believe it is essential that he release the balance of the currently redacted and classified JFK assassination documents. As you know, back in the 90s, the JFK Document Release Act mandated that the documents would be released over time to the American people unless at some juncture the President of the United States has the express specific authority to postpone one of those releases, in which case it is put off for 25 years. Now, a very good White House source, not the President, told me that the Central Intelligence Agency, specifically CIA Director Mike Pompeo, has been lobbying the president furiously not to release these documents. Why? Because I believe they show that Oswald was trained, nurtured, and put in place by the Central Intelligence Agency. It sheds very bad light on the deep state, the same characters trying to take down our president right now. So I had a very good opportunity to speak with the president only yesterday. I made the case in a very organized and cogent way. He did not tip off his current decision. We're going to have to wait, I guess, now 6 days before we learn. But he was all ears, and I can tell you, as a guiding philosophy, Alex, he believes in transparency. He believes in the people's right to know. I am optimistic that the president's going to do the right thing. He didn't tell me what his decision would be. I want to stress that. He took it all in. But just based on his general comments and his long history of supporting transparency, I think he's going to do the right thing.
Now, you've written several best-selling books on the Kennedy assassination, New York Times bestsellers, and 20 years after they were supposed to declassify it, then 40 years after, now we're way past that with 1963 being so long ago. When's the next time these can be declassified if President Trump doesn't release them?
Well, under the JFK Assassination Act, we've already had 2 data dumps, once under Bill Clinton. That makes sense because, unlike the Bushes, he had no involvement or culpability on November 22nd, 1963. This last tranche of documents, 3,100 files, includes a psychological profile on Lee Harvey Oswald conducted by the CIA. It includes classified testimony before the Congress by both top officials at the CIA and the FBI. It includes all the government records about Oswald's mysterious trip to Mexico City, which there's been many historical questions about. And it includes the secret diaries of E. Howard Hunt, the famous CIA operative and later Watergate burglar. His son, St. John Hunt, who knows what's in these documents.
Hold on, this is too sensational. Roger Stone just talked to the president. We'll be right back to break this down on the other side. I'm Alex Jones. If you're watching or listening, you are the resistance. It's been about 20 years. I've been on air 22 and a half that I've been saying we're the resistance to the globalists. And my old friend, big director, I want to call him a Texas director, not a Hollywood director, Rick Linklater, was in a big BuzzFeed article this week saying, I like Alex, he's a smart guy, he means well, but I thought he's anti-establishment. Why is he so pro-Trump? Well, I mean, Trump's a beachhead for Americana. Look at the economy. Look at the jobs. Look at the veterans getting taken care of. Look at how we're trying to get factories back here. We've had one-sided deals. So if you ask why, I want to take America back. I want to expose unelected globalism. Trump just killed the TPP. Trump is doing, I'd say, 90% of the things I would do. Rand Paul's behind him on his tax cuts. They're Kennedy tax cuts where you double the revenue that comes in when you cut taxes because people spend more money. It's already happening just on the idea it may happen. So while, you know, normally Roger won't talk about phone calls with the president because it becomes a big media circus, and he'd rather just, you know, be able to talk to the president about important issues like Sheriff Arpaio or things like that. But this is big, JFK, all these decades after what happened back in 1963 in Dealey Plaza in my own hometown of Dallas, Texas. You know, there's old Kennedy died in the same hospital I was born in. People come out of the world, they come into the world. But here's Roger Stone, rarely gets into his discussions with POTUS, but he's doing it. And Roger, normally you don't like to get into, you just say sources. You have a lot of sources that aren't the president. Why now are you talking about your conversation with the president? Because this is going to be all over the news.
Well, Alex, because in this case, the president didn't reveal to me what he's going to do. It was a fairly one-sided conversation. By the way, as to those media reports last week about the president being depressed or confused or disgusted or feeling negative about how things are going, I didn't detect any of that at all. He was upbeat. He was ebullient. He was friendly. He said to me, and I quote, "Where do you see the way we're going to turbocharge this economy? You haven't seen anything yet." He's deeply committed to these tax cuts that will give America economic growth like nothing we've ever seen before. I feel okay about this because the issue is very good and it's very important. And I was able to make my case in a comprehensive way to the president as to why the JFK documents should be released. Now, I guarantee you that he's heard the other side of this argument from the Central Intelligence Agency, that they don't want their methods exposed. They don't want their track record exposed. I think we know why they're opposed to the release of these documents mandated by law back in the 90s, and that's because they're likely to show that Lee Harvey Oswald was trained, nurtured, and put in place by the Central Intelligence Agency. A number of JFK research scholars have thought this for some time. There's a lot of anecdotal proof of it. I think that these documents will nail it. Everybody involved, with the exception of George H.W. Bush, is now dead, Alex. There's no reason why the American people shouldn't know the truth. And in my gut, I think the president's going to do the right thing.
Well, George H.W. Bush said he became director of the CIA in the early 1970s, never being in the CIA, but then later it came out in CIA documents. He was in Texas. He had Zapata Oil. He was involved in the Bay of Pigs. They were using the oil companies and offshore drilling rigs as their fronts. It's kind of an open secret around here in Texas. I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say I don't need to read about it in history books. And all of this was going on. All of this was happening. And we know that that he's already CIA documents have come out. So when more, thousands of pages come out, there's a reason they're trying to keep this suppressed, because it will validate and vindicate everything we've ever talked about.
No, that's exactly right. The last time we had a data dump like this, we found a memo from J. Edgar Hoover to the head of the FBI office in Dallas, Texas, instructing him to brief George Bush of the CIA regarding the activities of anti-Castro Cubans in the Dallas area. Now, as you point out, George Bush denies that he was working for the CIA in 1963, meaning he perjured himself before the United States Senate in the 70s when he was appointed the director of Central Intelligence. Only yesterday, George W. Bush really took my breath away. He attacked the president for conspiracy theories, his immigration policy, and his trade policies. Let me get this straight. George W. Bush, who lied our way into war, costing American lives and hundreds of millions over non-existent weapons of mass destruction and yellow cake uranium that he claimed was in the possession of Saddam Hussein. George W. Bush, who crashed our economy worse than any president in modern history. George W. Bush, who covered up the fact that his immigration policies allowed 9 Saudis to sneak into the country and attack this country on 9/11. He's got room to talk about Donald Trump.
That's right.
Hey,
and since you mentioned that, here he is. Here's the former president. Obama attacked on the same day, saying there's bigotry going on, just with no evidence. And then saying that he's sick of these conspiracy theories. He means people questioning known liars like him, the chief conspiracy theorist. Here it is.
Bigotry seems emboldened. Our politics seems more vulnerable to conspiracy theories and outright fabrication. There are some signs that the intensity of support for democracy itself has waned, especially among the young.
That's good. So, here he is saying people are emboldened. Yes, we're emboldened. We're awake. We're aware of what's going on. Roger Stone, presidents don't normally attack other presidents. The fact that Obama and Bush came out yesterday when they're both so loathed by the base, this is a good thing. Don't they get that we've fully broken with them, that we don't like the establishment, that America's getting back to truly being independent?
That's what I don't think your friend, the director Linkletter, understands. Donald Trump is the epitome of the anti-establishment. If you want to know what the establishment thinks, you've got Obama and Bush. When they have to roll Bush out to attack Trump, Bush, who was loathed by the American people, he destroyed our economy, and he literally killed thousands of Americans in an unjust war that he lied us into. Where does he have the room, the place to talk about anything involving this president? As far as I'm concerned, George W. Bush and his father, George H.W. Bush, should both be prosecuted for their lies and crimes against the United States. These people, the chutzpah is amazing, just breathtaking. They don't understand. They're discredited, they're despised, and no one believes a word they say, Alex.
Shifting gears now, if you go to newswars.com, prisonplanet.com, or infowars.com, we have mainline reports, documents, congressional hearings now admitting that the Clintons both illegally met when she was Secretary of State and Bill Clinton was floating around with Putin, with Russians, with Uranium One, when it was under FBI investigation. That then got killed. I mean, they are literally caught with the smoking gun, bags in their hands, illegally doing all of this. Wow. I mean, the worm has turned here, Roger.
Well, and here is some major breaking news, Alex. I have just learned from a very reliable FBI source that the FBI has opened an investigation between the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile, and Harvey Weinstein. Epstein, close buddy of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was on his private plane, the Lolita Express, 23 times, visited his private orgy island. We now learn that Epstein was supplying underage girls to Weinstein. That is the subject of a new investigation by the FBI, and of course this leads to Bill Clinton. What do they have in common? The answer would be Bill Clinton. What was Bill Clinton doing on Orgy Island? What was Bill Clinton doing on that plane? The American people demand to know.
Wow, this is so bombshell, and I know there's more you talk about with the president and your sources, so do 5 more minutes with us, but just briefly, because you've got great FBI sources, you're exclusively breaking here that there is a Justice Department criminal investigation of Weinstein and Epstein. We know Weinstein had 17-year-old girls and others in he tried to reportedly rape, and that's been basically confirmed, and that's where we knew this was going next. You're saying exclusively that your sources say a criminal investigation is opened up into that.
Yes, they're now investigating the connection between Epstein and Weinstein, and whether Epstein, the discredited, convicted pedophile who was running a major New York hedge fund, running buddy of Bill Clinton, was supplying underage girls for Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. What do they have in common? Who brought them together? William Jefferson Clinton.
Wow. So we knew the whole Hollywood pedophile scam was about to emerge, about to break the surface massively, but it's happening quicker than we thought. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Roger Stone. Then we have the producer of the top film exposing the Hollywood pedophile crime rings. Ladies and gentlemen, our intrepid crew of researchers are so on target that as soon as Roger Stone 5 minutes ago broke that Harvey Weinstein is under criminal investigation by the FBI and Justice Department for connections to Jerry Epstein and the Lolita Express child kidnapping aircraft operation with Bill Clinton, they were able to go, wait, we just saw that clip that got no attention from a major award show a few years ago where Weinstein was bragging that he was the chief projectionist for 8 years at the White House and traveled with Bill Clinton everywhere while the Epstein flights were taking place. This is big, and that's what my law enforcement sources told me. some of which have been involved in these big raids you've seen in the news, catching all these kidnappers of kids, just hundreds a day it's happening. But the mainstream media won't report on it. It's only in local news. They've been telling me that this is exactly what was about to happen. We've got the producer of one of the big films about to join us, but let's play this clip and then get Roger Stone's take on it. Here he is at the GLAAD Awards with Jennifer Lawrence now, who's really disgusting to me, fawning. I heard she casting couch quite a bit with him, fawning over her Lord and Savior, Mr. Epstein. So I guess she's a little too old for him. Here it is.
And I just wanted to tell you that how I really got to know the president really well. Some of you don't know, because there wasn't a Senate confirmation hearing. This was done rather privately. I was the chief projectionist at the White House from 1992 to 2000. And I'm going to tell you, the president and I saw so many movies together. I'm not kidding, by the way. We saw so many movies together. Some of mine, like Good Will Hunting, and I remember seeing The Harmonists, and so many great films with the president. We even built on vacation, we even built a little portable screening room for the president.
Oh.
I can tell you, that...
At the little Pleasure Island, maybe? Wow, Roger, the 3 minutes we have left, amazing breaking news here for InfoWars, not just your POTUS conversation yesterday, but now this. What else can you tell us about the bombshell you just dropped?
Well, great research there by the InfoWars research team. Look, what kind of movies were they watching? It sounds like porn to me. Look, we know that Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 23 separate times. We know that, according to the testimony of Virginia Roberts, he was on Orgy Island for private parties with a lot of underage girls and very few adult men on numerous occasions. Little did we know that Harvey Weinstein may have been the link here, and we are examining whether Weinstein also visited the island. I understand the FBI is also looking into whether Weinstein was on the plane contemporaneously with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. Look, the entire Hollywood pedophile network is about to crash down around the knees of Bill Clinton.
And now you know why they're fighting so hard. And the minute we have with Roger Stone, Infowars.com, investigative journalist, and amazing political operative for America, what do you make of Trump saying this week, McCain better watch it, because when I take the gloves off, I hit hard, basically. He said, I'm getting ready to really smack you hard. I mean, that's an open message, isn't it?
I think so. As I said last night on the War Room, the fact that John McCain is even still in the United States Senate is at the suffrage of candidate Donald Trump. They were both on the ballot the same year, the same month in Arizona last year during the presidential, after Trump had swept the early and middle primaries. Arizona is among the latest. Had Donald Trump not supported John McCain, he would already be in retirement. This man is bitter. He is mentally confused. His temper tantrums, his red-faced fits, his public meltdowns are now things of legend. I must seriously question, Alex, whether he is mentally fit to be in the U.S. Senate.
This latest speech he got attacking American patriotism, he looks like he's got 2 feet in the grave. Roger Stone, thank you so much. Amazing intel. Thank you.